Hi, I'm David Levin, and this is another episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the behind-the-scenes TV stories you wouldn't have known from the TV stars who were there. Today, the conclusion to my conversation with Jack Larson, the 1950s Jimmy Olsen, and Noel Neil, who played Lois Lane on The Adventures of Superman. Today, Noel Neil talks about meeting Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder on the set of the Superman movie, watching them shoot the flying scene off the balcony, how George Reeves ended up on I Love Lucy, the TV wedding of Superman and Lois Lane, and Jack and Noel speculate on what might have eventually happened to their versions of Jimmy and Lois.
Surprising, when I went through London a few years later after I did the little cameo, the group had said, "Oh, little new publicity, when you come, we'll pick you up, take you in to meet Christopher Reeve and Margot," because they weren't in Canada when Kirk and I were filming. And so we had lunch together, and then we went out on the set. And I couldn't believe in this Pinewood studio they had one stage with all the tracks for wires. And they had the scene where Christopher was to pick up Margot from her balcony and fly off together. And my little friend and I that were there, we waited, and they took after take after take. And first, he would be off first, and she was still behind. They said, "Oh, cut, we'll do it again." And then she'd be ahead, and what? But it went on and on. I couldn't believe they were still using wires when, Cy had developed this other thing.
Amazing.
It was weird for a big movie.
Well, by process, and now it wouldn't be, because everything is now blue screen. Nobody would, it's all special effects are done differently, so you wouldn't be doing it. But actually, due to necessity, it was done. Everything was done. The special effects in process. They were innocent. I'm not saying they were high-tech process, but they were. All of our stuff was processed.
The low tech added to the dynamic feel of it. You really had to run.
Yes, it did.
Well, listen, I remember when I was a little kid, if I would put on the towel on the back, and I'd go running and leap onto the bed, because that's how Superman did it. And then Christopher Reeve was like, "I can't lift off the ground, but I can run and jump."
Right.
I had a window, though. I never did that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So I remember one time when he said, the costume doesn't make you fly. Only Superman
Superman
can fly.
right.
And he did an appearance on I Love Lucy once.
Right,
You were talking about the two different shows.
When it was
And
raining,
do
he
you
was coming
remember
around
that?
to break in for the little birthday party for their son.
I never got, was he supposed to be Superman on that episode or George as Superman on that episode? Because they kept calling him Superman.
I think because of, what's her name's husband? Ricky. Had said, I'll get Superman for his birthday party, to all these little kids. And so that's when she was out looking for him, too, in the rain and whatever, and he was saving her. And so that was Superman.
He was supposed to be Superman.
Yeah, right.
And he went way back. He and Desi Arnaz had been in the Army Air Corps big show. Everybody in the Second World War, everybody, Irving Berlin, this is the Army, everybody had a show. In the Air Corps, it was called Winged Victory. And George was in Winged Victory, a lot of people were, and Desi Arnaz was in Winged Victory. So they went way back as buddies. And he had a lot of stories about Desi Arnaz. George had a lot of stories about everybody.
Come on.
These are kids, these are stories, they're not for TV land.
Children.
This is for grown-up land, the George Reeves stories, but particularly the Desi Arnaz stories. But George was just a wonderful guy, and he called himself Honest George, the people's friend.
So wonderful to work with.
Yeah,
really.
He was great.
Yeah.
And John Hamilton was wonderful, and Bob Shane was, and Noel.
John Hamilton talked to me once, only, in all the years. I did that one thing with where I was reading all the fan mail, fell asleep, and dreamt that I was going to marry the wedding of Superman. And so I woke up, and they woke me up, and they all came in to see what had happened to me, so I didn't answer the phone. And they walked in, and I said, "We are going to get married." He says, "Wait, Lois Lane, whatever." And after the scene, I actually shed a tear. And the first time John Hamilton talked to me, he said, "Good scene." All the years, bless his heart. That really, like you say, impressed me. I felt good about that. Yeah.
That was a sweet episode too.
My
Yeah.
favorite, because I was in all of it. The ham in me came out.
Very prescient of Lois to dream that Clark was Superman.
Right, yeah.
She kind of knew, didn't she?
And I got the Edelweiss flown in from whatever for the wedding, and the cake was a bomb going to go off, and oh yeah, it was quite a story.
There's there have been so many incarnations of Superman, you know, and every generation seems to sort of revisit him and reinvent him for their own purposes.
Right, yeah.
But the ones that you guys did for so many people is the definitive Superman. So let's move ahead however many years, and let's say that those are Superman. That was Lois, that was Jimmy, that was Clark, and all them. What are those characters doing today? What is your Jimmy and your Lois doing today? Did they ever get married did she ever marry Superman? What happened to those guys?
You mean in the movie, in the...
In
Well, they did, in the first movie that Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder did, supposedly they did get married, and he would lose his powers if he married a non-alien. And so it didn't work out, and that's why poor Margot didn't have too much to do in the rest of the shows, because people just didn't want them to get married. It broke the whole thing, you know. Isn't it? What do you think?
Well, I think that if Jimmy had lived until today, which I have lived until today, that Jimmy would be in the electronic media, and he would be like, I'm going to forget his last name, but Don, who invented 60 Minutes.
Don Hewitt.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy would be like Don Hewitt, and he would be the at CBS or at some electronic high tech, and he'd be editor of whatever was going. He wouldn't be a newspaper anymore. He wouldn't be a copy boy in newspapers. He would be in the electronic media, and
Or into the stock market.
yes. So no, but I think he'd be editor. He'd be editor. We would like of 60 Minutes. I feel he would be. That's what he would be doing, and. But I believe he's always stayed vaguely the same age. They always cast Jimmy the same age. I don't believe Jimmy has ever been a character in Smallville. I don't think it's a character that they did.
He would have to be like 5 years old or something.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't do a character, but he was a character in all the other ones.
And I was a mother occasionally.
Yeah. No, he
Lois
wasn't
Lane.
in Superboy. He
Pardon?
wasn't a character in Superboy. I know that Jimmy was a character in Superboy. And Noel was Lois Lane. They had Lana something.
Lana Lane.
Lana Lane. They did. I don't know the things, but I haven't
Sort of
watched them
played
carefully.
ourselves in that,
Pardon?
that one episode.
Yeah.
Paranoia.
Yeah.
We played our characters.
Yeah.
Well, I hope one of them got married, Rich.
I don't know. But
Well.
it was.
But anyway.
Well, you guys are great. Thank you so much for coming in. I can't thank you. Is there anything we missed?
We're wrapped.
Unless there's something else that I missed.
No.
Thank you so much. You guys are so much fun.
Jack Larson and Noel Neil, two beloved icons who will both be missed. Neil was 95 when she passed away in 2016. Jack Larson passed away in 2015. In addition to playing Jimmy Olsen, Larson was a prolific playwright and well-loved in the theater world. Their final screen appearances, appropriately enough, were 2006's Superman Returns. What are your thoughts? Jack and Noel were icons to my generation, but who played it best? Let me know who you thought was the best Jimmy Olsen and the best Lois Lane. I can't wait to hear. That's it for today. I'm David Levin. You can follow Pop Goes the Culture on Twitter at PopGoCulture or Facebook, or email me at popgoestheculturetv@gmail.com, or leave your comments below. I love hearing from you, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, don't miss a single episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the Boomer Tube, or Ask Them Yourself. Subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Ow! Ow! Ow!